Welcome to Live from Your Laptop. Hear straight from Klaviyo's community of some of the fastest growing brands and partners about how they're growing their e-commerce business and owning their destiny. Hosted by Morgan Lasky, for today's episode, we welcome Truff Hot Sauce.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live from Your Laptop. I am so glad that you could take the hour to join myself along with others in the community today. My name is Morgan Lasky, and I lead our community events here at Klaviyo. Today, I'm coming to you live from sunny and warm Puerto Rico, where unfortunately the sun is hot, but the internet is not. So if I happen to fall off today, I have another Klaviyo on the line, Mary, on standby to jump right in should I go down. But hopefully we won't have any issues today. Before we kick it off with Truff and advisory marketing, I would love to know who is tuning in today. So I want you to put your videos on, stay on mute though, and feel free to post in the chat who you are, what company you represent, and where you are tuning in live from today. Also, if we have any Truff or just like hot sauce fans in the house, please let us know that in the chat too. Side note, one of my friends back in high school used to carry a bottle of hot sauce with her everywhere. Like I'm talking everywhere, cheerleading practice, like all through school. And yeah, if you're anything like her, let us know if you're that person. All right, cool. So for those of you who have joined us during prior episodes of Live from Your Laptop, we're so glad you guys are back with us again. Thanks for your continued support as we figure out this crazy world of events. For those who are tuning in for the very first time today, we are so excited that you have joined us. This is going to be the best hour of your week, I promise you. Here on Live from Your Laptop, we bring you some of the most up and coming and fastest growing brands, agencies, and marketers who are seeing major growth and seeing real results in Klaviyo. This isn't a show or a webinar pitch, about Klaviyo. We don't do that here. The product really sells itself, but in the next hour, you're going to get actionable tips for scaling a business and making the most out of your partnership with Klaviyo. After, we do a little fun activity just to get our minds off of the stress of work and to obviously learn something new that maybe we've never done before. So today, we've got the co-founders of Truff Hot Sauce and their marketing agency partner, Advisory Marketing, on the show to heat things up. We're going to be talking about how they built momentum with the brand, their e-commerce and retail strategy, some A/B testing advice, and show you some of their best performing campaigns and flows in Klaviyo too. Some of you submitted some great questions when you registered, so I did pull a few of those, but I also encourage you guys to pop some questions in the chat. If we have time to get to them, we will. We don't typically do, just kind of throwing that out here now. But I always love the conversation that happens in the chat. So any question that you guys have, feel free to talk amongst each other. And if we have time, we will definitely get to them. So after we chat with Nick and Blake, they actually have a video that they're going to show us. His name is Nick. I heard he's a major TikTok influencer, and he is going to talk to us about chicken wings and showing us how to make some of the best and tastiest chicken wings that pack some heat. So I'm really excited to learn about making some new kinds of chicken wings. To wrap things up, we're going to do a giveaway. This week, one lucky winner, actually two lucky winners, because last week I saw a comment, someone was like, I'm a little slow at typing. I'm like, oh, so I feel bad. So we're going to do the first and the 20th person who goes in the chat to type the trivia question answer in is going to win the prize. So we're going to give everybody this somewhat of the same opportunity to get their answer in, even if you don't have the fastest fingers out there. So we're giving away what are we giving away? We're giving a hot sauce bundle featuring the original, the hotter, which is in all caps, and white Truff hot sauce. So you can have enough hot sauce and variety to put it on everything. Okay, so reminder, please make sure you're muted, but feel free to turn your video on. That's all the rules of Live from Your Laptop. Let's get started. I'm gonna pass it over to Nick and Blake to introduce themselves. Take it away, Nick.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Nick Guillen, also known as Nick G, one of the co-founders of Truff. I spend most of my time geeking out in CPG, as well as digging into new social media trends, paid and organic, as well as working on a bunch of e-com fun stuff with Blake.
Awesome. My name's Blake. I'm the co-founder of Advisory Marketing. We work with a bunch of different CPG brands, mainly in the food and beverage space, and primarily help them out on their email strategy and paid strategy as well.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, you guys. I'm seeing in the chat that there's a lot of Truff Hot Sauce fans out there. So you got some fans on here. So let's get into the questions. First question. Imagine, Nick, you're going to kick us off here. Let's start with how Truff came about. What's the story behind this Truffle Hot Sauce?
So the story with Truff Hot Sauce is it actually didn't start as an idea of creating a hot sauce company out the gate. My co-founder and I, Nick Agiloni, we had got the handle Sauce on Instagram a little over 6 years ago. We just really loved immersing ourselves in social media. We studied, some of the early CPG brands. We also saw the transition of brands that were growth hacking their way to success and revenue through various social media channels. So shortly after we got the handle Sauce, we decided we wanted to just create this really cool platform. We posted content we thought was cool, stuff we thought would resonate well with the pop culture foodie, rappers and food, and really saucy content that not only make people hungry, but just satisfy the feed visually. And we started to get some early traction. We had some celebrities that started following the account. And, we thought it was cool, but we didn't want to create just an Instagram food account. We thought there was a bigger opportunity here, especially seeing some of these brands grow so quickly by leveraging social media and e-com. We figured, well, let's create our own product that we would sell through this channel on Instagram to start. So the nature of the name being sauce, that led us to the hot sauce category. And it was there where we saw so much opportunity. We didn't see any top shelf hot sauce that existed. There weren't any direct to consumer hot sauce brands on the market. And none of these brands really understood how to growth hack social media. They didn't really understand how to create visually satisfying content, how to connect with the consumer emotionally. So that led us on this journey to create the first top shelf, digitally native, direct to consumer hot sauce brand. And in finding ways to help elevate the flavor profile of our formula, we looked at various ingredients such as saffron, caviar, truffle. Truffle was one that really stood out to us. It's frowned upon in the culinary world to mix such a delicate ingredient like truffle with spice. Mm-hmm. So we thought it was perfect. There's almost a purple cow type of vibe when you do things that are really against the grain. So we said, okay, let's do truffle hot sauce. So Nick and I, we developed the formula for the recipe as well as the brand over the span of about 2 years. Didn't really tell anybody about what we were working on. And then in December of 2017, we launched our first product, which was the original Black Truffle Hot Sauce. And we came out of the gate hot. We went all in on social media. We came out with a pretty badass paid media strategy along with Blake. And I think we really kind of took the internet by storm.
Yeah. That's awesome. People are saying purple. I was like, just thinking that in my head, purple cow of hot sauce. Like, yes, like that is great that you guys recognize that opportunity and you jumped on it. And who were your who were your test tasters? Like, how did you know that this stuff was going to be good?
So that was the thing. We kind of just went with our gut. There's photos of a huge table where Nick and I had a bunch of different dishes with different percentage formulas. And essentially what we did is we just sourced a bunch of different ingredients from the best suppliers across the country and across the world. we had tons of just random stuff showing up at his parents' house. And like mad scientists, we went to work in the kitchen and we narrowed it down to about 30 or so, minimum viable recipes. And we sent them out to a couple classically trained chefs, and they said, oh, it's actually really good. Never thought of that before. Maybe add a little bit more truffle, or maybe turn down the spice a little bit. And that's how we came up with the formula.
Turn down the spice. That's awesome. That's really cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that story with us. Really crazy. So let's get into, when did you guys team up with advisory marketing? Like, in what ways have they been a great partner to the brand? Why did you decide that you needed, to partner with an agency to help you with some of your assets?
For sure. So Blake and I go back before the Truff days. I had another company that I was working on. I actually started out of the back of an Uber when I was an Uber driver. I was selling hats to my passengers, and I kind of spun up my own Shopify store, and I wanted to dip my toe in paid media. And Blake and I went to college together, and I knew he was like the Facebook ads genius that could kind of help me understand this uncharted water. So before Truff, he was kind of teaching me everything that I needed to know about the early days of Facebook marketing. And then when we launched Truff, Blake and I started working together on the e-com, email, paid media side from the beginning. And then along the way, Blake was kind of doing his own thing. He had a couple projects that he was working on. Nick and I had a lot of people asking us, hey, like, who's doing your digital? You guys are doing an amazing job. Would love to kind of bounce some ideas off of you. So we got together with Blake and we helped form the advisory, which kind of has not only the amazing technical knowledge of everything Blake and the team does behind the scenes, but also the founder's perspective, and how to grow the CPG brand side of things at the same time, bridging the two together.
That's super cool. So like, advisory marketing was kind of built out of Truff Hot Sauce in a way? Yeah.
Correct.
Cool. That's awesome. All right, great. Well, we're going to get into talking a little bit about more of like the digital marketing and the advertising and stuff in the next couple of questions, but I'm going to keep moving. So Truff landed on Oprah's favorite things list in 2019. She even said, quote, I'm quoting Oprah, even when somebody has everything, they don't have Truff. That's pretty freaking awesome. So this leads into some questions from the community. First one is, what are some of the tactics you guys focused on when building so much hype around this hot sauce? Let's start there.
So I think a lot of that has to do with the way we positioned our brand in the marketplace. We really tried to look at our brand as not a commodity, more of a prestigious type of thing. And, for the longest time, we never really attached a voice to the brand. There wasn't a face to the brand. No one really knew who was behind it. We just brought out really amazing content, things I think the community, not only in the hot sauce category, but consumers in general and people that really liked food, pop culture, streetwear, they could resonate to it just because it had this type of energy that I think attracted a lot of people. And that alone started to build a lot of hype. Who's this hot sauce brand that kind of came out of nowhere, like Truffle Hot Sauce? No one's done that before. That's not going to work. Got a lot of people talking.
Yeah. So building not like suspense and suspicion, like what is this stuff? Like, and you appealed, like, who was your market? You appealed to more male, female, like 25 to like, who were you really going after?
Blake?
Yeah, when we initially launched, it wasn't like we were going to try to guess where we were going to fall. We just started advertising very broadly and was going to kind of let the market guide us. And initially, before Oprah's favorite things, it was primarily men, 25 to 45 was kind of like our main demo. But when we launched on Oprah's favorite things, or we saw just like a complete shift, and men actually kind of took a back seat. And then it was kind of women between the ages of 25 to 54 where we really started hitting with. And it honestly, who's buying Truff hot sauce, it switches throughout the year. So in more gift giving seasons, a lot of women are buying the product. And then during summer, probably because of like grilling and
barbecue, yeah.
we see a lot of men buying it. So it definitely switches throughout the year.
So Oprah really like kind of, I mean, I don't think many men that are 30, I mean, I could be wrong, are watching Oprah like on the daily. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's more women based, but that's awesome that you were able to be introduced to a whole other market. Denise, okay, so since we are on Oprah, how did you get Oprah's attention?
So her team had sent an email about 4 or 5 months before they released the list for the holiday season. And my partner, Nick Agiloni, he got the email and he sent it to me, and we kind of laughed it off like it was, spam or a scam trying to, get these young founders all riled up. And we sent the email to a couple of our other founders, and they lost it. They're like, you guys not realize how big of a thing this is? Like, this is insane. And it was our first full year in business, and like beyond the Oprah's favorite things list, our first year in business is like, I mean, it's luckier than luck.
Oh, man, you almost passed that up because you thought it was spam.
Yeah. So one of the scouts on the team looking for cool products, they saw an ad on Facebook.
Cool. Awesome. Facebook ads. Look at Blake. Facebook ads. All right. We're going to talk more about Facebook ads, but let's finish off this question. So what was your PR strategy early on? So going off of the hype, you guys obviously had some sort of, PR strategy to really get noticed by some people.
Most of the PR early on was very organic.
Okay.
A lot of it stemmed on from the cool people that were co-signing our brand from the start. A lot of people in streetwear and fashion and pop culture, and some really cool chefs like Chef Ludo and Tyler Florence. And they really kind of just put Truff on from an early point. And a lot of these big PR publications were just kind of confused because, like I mentioned, we kind of came out of nowhere, but we came out hot. And a lot of people took notice of that early on.
Cool. Love that organic growth. All right. So next question. You guys started obviously with direct to consumer. You had, an e-com site, and then you ventured into Amazon, and you've done retail, and you even have a mobile app too now. So we're going to get into the mobile app in a bit, but what made you guys want to become this omni-channel brand? Obviously, like CPG, that makes sense, but like, how are you choreographing all of these different channels to work together? Or are you treating them separately as just different channels?
So we knew from the start we wanted to, be a direct-to-consumer company. It wasn't until we were approached by Oprah's team when we launched on Amazon. So Oprah's Favorite Things launches in conjunction with Amazon. In order to be on the list,
Okay.
you have to launch on Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
So we launched earlier on Amazon than we actually wanted to. But, we definitely saw the value in that. One of the reasons why we didn't want to just attack the grocery channel or the retailers that you would normally think to attack at first was we wanted to really build leverage in the marketplace. We wanted to build awareness and drive trial to a large group of customers and really build these connections to the people that are rocking with us from an early stage emotionally. And along the way, we were approached by many different retailers, and we said no to a lot of them from the beginning, but we said yes to the ones that were kind of the marquee retailers that would help elevate our position and brand, and some amazing partners like Neiman Marcus and Barney's and Dean and DeLuca. And, some of these aren't retailers that are around anymore, but kind of the higher end gourmet luxury fashion.
Yeah.
And then we kind of use that to then help fill in some of the other retailers along the way.
Awesome. So let's talk list growth. So I understand paid social has been very successful for you guys in generating new customers. This specific question comes from the community. If I'm a new business without a ton of money, which happens, how can I get the best bang for my buck with paid ads? What are some best practices and how much should I be allocating to paid as a new business? I think Blake might take this one, right?
Yeah, it's a super hard question. You know, it's a very broad one. I don't think that everyone has to start with paid ads. Paid ads, it's a channel, right? And it's like throwing lighter fuel on your business. And what it does is it'll expose like what's wrong. Like you'll find the holes very quickly. You'll find where people are dropping off in the funnel, what's working and what's not working really fast. And so you're initially paying when you launch to get a lot of data to see what you need to improve. Everyone's marketing budget's different because everyone has very different goals, right? Some people need to accelerate growth. Some people are venture backed. Some people are bootstrapped. I would say you want to dip your toes in if you are very cash strapped with just maybe start by retargeting your audiences that you already have and then putting a little money towards prospecting. And if you have a budget, maybe, I don't know how big existing audiences are, but I would say like if you have a decent size of existing audiences, maybe split your budgets 50 prospecting, 50 retargeting, and then you can eventually work up to be like 80 prospecting, 20 retargeting if you're starting to see some good growth there. One thing that paid ads are great to do is driving email list growth, because on Facebook and paid channels, you can bid for really high end users like, you know, you're bidding for purchases, bidding for high value. It drives a lot of really qualified users to your website, and they all will sign up if you're doing like some type of intro discount or have a pop-up or some email collection tool. That's honestly been the most efficient way to consistently grow and engage lists. There's a lot of other tools like giveaways and weird pop-ups that you can do to like entice people. But at the end of the day, I think really with list growth, it's all about getting the most qualified person to subscribe. And we've really seen that when we're just driving paid ads and not so much like on the giveaway or some of these other hacky tactics where you grab a bunch of people and the quality.
They're not quality. Yeah, they're just there to win the prize. So I was gonna say while you were talking about tying it back to generate your email list, Klaviyo actually, you can create lookalike audiences. And I think that's been super helpful. So you can use, you know, Klaviyo segments to your Facebook and Instagram advertising. So I would imagine that you guys also do that as well, since starting with Klaviyo.
Yeah, that's like one of the great features about Klaviyo. And some fun things that we like to do is, you know, you can take a segment of all of your Q1 customers from 2020, and now you can go and make a lookalike audience off of that and start advertising to those people in 2021 to see how that compares. We're right around the time when COVID hit last year. So a customer in March this year might not look like a customer in March last year. So if you have the data, you can go back and export a customer list of March 2019 and then export a customer list of 2020, create two different lookalike audiences off of that and see how those compare to each other.
That's a good idea. Yeah, definitely a good idea. And then in the beginning, were you guys running, because somebody asked, like obviously paid social ads, but you were also running like ads on Google. Like what was kind of the strategy there? And then we're going to keep moving on to some of the next questions.
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram are going to be very efficient, right? They generate a lot of demand for the product, but Google is great for capturing demand, especially Google search and Google shopping. So those are the other two channels that we were on for a long time. And then we eventually scaled out into other channels to experiment to see what else could work with the business.
Okay, awesome. All good insights there. So let's talk about your mobile app and how you started this. It's really cool that you have a mobile app. I haven't actually seen it, but I would be interested in actually going through it. So let's talk about, why you started the mobile app, what some of your KPIs are for the mobile app, and how does like Klaviyo specifically integrate with it or help you kind of, because I understand that you're using the mobile app for a little bit of list growth too, to new customers, but you're primarily using it for retention. But let's talk about it.
Yeah, so with our app, we don't look at the app as something that we're going to install. It's going to change our business overnight, but there is incremental revenue every week that we can attribute directly to the app. A lot of the things that we do at Truff are try to create new exciting experiences for our customer. And especially now when we're in this, the days of Amazon where you could go onto Amazon, you could just swipe your finger to the right and you have something coming over to your house in 2 days. Well, with our app, we've tried to create the functionality that's either equal to or easier than what it would be like ordering through Amazon, but it's a Truff branded experience. We also do a lot of cool things with our large VIP group on Facebook. So we have a closed VIP group on Facebook, and a lot of our product drops are launched early via the app. So some of the products that you get for the first time, you can only get through the app. And then we also do a lot of really cool engagement where maybe we're creating new recipes that are only available on the app, and a lot of just different ways to engage and create exciting experiences for our customers.
That's awesome. So if I purchase some hot sauce, are you then like inviting me? What's that process look like? How do I become part of the app? So if I'm a business and I'm starting an app, like how do I get people to engage with it? So
we have download our app in our post-purchase flows through Klaviyo, which I think Blake could talk a little bit about.
Yeah, so one thing that we do is after someone purchases, we have them in, I think we have 2 emails and 2 different flows. We basically invite them to the app to encourage repeat purchases. So once you're on the app, you'll get access and notified about products dropping a little earlier than they do for the rest of the public. And then, it's mainly a loyalty play.
Perfect.
One of the great things too is we have a loyalty program through Swell, which integrates directly through our app. And it's cool if you're on a native app and you actually see the point balance versus having to go to a browser or to a website. Everything's just there at the ease of your fingertips.
That's awesome. Yeah, Swell's a great partner of Klaviyo, so we all kind of intermix together. Loving that. All right, cool. So let's dive into Klaviyo. I'm seeing some questions. Debbie, we are going to show you some Klaviyo flows and campaigns. We are getting there. So let's, some of these questions came from the community about welcome series, abandoned cart flow, segmenting, and list cleaning. So let's chat through some of this, plus more. Let's start with your welcome series, because this is an important one. This is a great flow that you have. So I'm going to have Kelsey put up a slide that has a screenshot of kind of the bones of your flow, of your welcome series flow, how you kind of laid it out. And then what I'd like to do is talk through the strategy of this, and why you think it's been so successful. And I think we have just, and Kelsey can go back and forth. We have a couple like creative examples from a few of these emails here or there.
Cool. Yeah. So one of the things with the welcome flows,
do you want us to put it back up? Yeah. Do you want us to put it back up?
No, you don't have to put it back up. I'm all good. You don't have to. I'm fine. Yeah. So with the welcome flow, this is something we've had a lot of product launches in the last 2 months. So we've been releasing new products and we're kind of always updating that. But one of the things that we like to do with the welcome flow is we're really trying to look at this as a way to indoctrinate people into your brand. and giving and letting them know like everything about your brand that you want. So it's kind of like a knowledge transfer of how you as a brand internalize yourself and what you want other people to know. So things that we like to communicate is always like giving the first email is like a high level overview of the brand plus an intro offer, whatever you're offering on your website. We like to do brand stories, product reviews, press highlights, and then also just highlighting any type of highlighting just like the various products that you have in your product catalog. One thing, go ahead.
Kelsey, do you want to put up the creative one, like not the flow sequence, but so we can talk through some of the actual emails? Yeah. So is this the first email someone gets? Welcome to the Truff Life. Is that what happens there?
Yeah, exactly. So this will be the first email that someone gets in the welcome series. We had this going during Q4 to push our variety pack.
Yep.
And it's still working really well, but we're actually updating this shortly to we're going to switch to offering a very, very low discount. But yeah, this is kind of the first thing someone gets. It gives us a high overview of it and then kind of highlights some of the products.
And do you guys like teeter with discount, like to discount or to not discount? I know when we originally talked, you guys don't do a lot of discounting. You are kind of that luxury level brand. So for community listening in today, I know we've had these conversations before about giving a discount in that first welcome series flow. What's your advice on that?
Yeah, so I think as initially, like we've always been very cautious about discounting in general. It's something that we're more positioned as a luxury brand, so don't want to give away a lot of kind of like a lot off the top and on that first purchase. Some interesting history is like we initially had started with a 15% off discount, and then we moved away from it during Oprah's Favorite Things because we couldn't offer a discount on one of our products. And during that time, we saw the signups actually, they didn't decrease that much, which we thought was interesting. So we switched up pop-up that was just like sign up for the latest news about Truff. And that was very interesting to see. And then as we moved out of Q4, we noticed that the opt-ins were a little lower. So we started actually split testing different discounts, and we saw like really low end discounts, like giving 5% off. The difference between that and 15% off was negligible. The sign up rates were almost the same. And I don't know if that necessarily works for every brand, but we have done a really good job of positioning ourselves in the marketplace so differently that I think we don't have to offer as big of a discount because people are buying into the experience of Truff.
True. Yeah, that's really good advice. Okay, so awesome. I saw some people signed up for your welcome flow. So you're getting new fans as we go on here. So your abandoned cart series is one of your highest performing flows. We're going to show the first email in the flow, what that looks like. And I'd love for you to go through kind of like why this abandoned cart flow is working so well for you guys.
I think it's just, look, with food and bev, our biggest goal always for everyone that we're working with is to make people hungry. And during the day, people feel a lot of different emotions, but there's a good chance during the day when your brand's interacting with them that someone's either hungry or thirsty. And what we do throughout all of these emails and what we're doing in the abandoned cart flow is trying to make someone hungry. They left this in their cart and they go to open this email, and the first thing they see is a super tasty sandwich. It's got some sauce drizzled all over it. If someone's already hungry, which most likely they are, it's a pretty common feeling throughout the day. It's just going to make them want to pull the trigger and be like, dang, I need this sauce in my life. I want to put it on and pull the trigger on it. And we send these, what's it called? Like an hour after someone abandons the cart.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a decent time, but you should always split test those, see what half an hour is like, maybe a little longer. But ultimately the goal here is make them hungry. right? What's the most basic emotion you feel to? And that's hunger.
That definitely, that definitely makes sense. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I think I'd eat that up real quick. Now, and I know that I asked you this prior, what is the deal with like the red bottle? Like, what is this? Why do you guys do that? Am I missing something, or like, what's with the red bottle?
It just catches your eye, right? Like
it does, right?
That's all it's doing. It's just a visual play there. It's like, this could be whatever bottle you were looking at in your hand, but it's not right now. So what are you going to do to change that? Like, really, what's missing in your life is this hot sauce. It should be
what's missing in your life. Exactly. Oh, that's great. I really like that. That's really unique. And then the cart details, does that show what is in their cart? So
yeah, exactly. It'll show like whatever products there in their cart. And we have mayo and we have pasta sauce now. So we're in the process of updating these. These were two like really back-to-back launches during Q4 and coming out of it. So when we update it, we're still trying to always like invoke those same.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Very good. Is there another visual in this, Kelsey, or no? I don't think there is. And we can move on to the.
Nope, there's not another visual. This is the only visual for this one.
Okay, thanks, Kels. All right, so you guys primarily use Klaviyo's campaigns for product launches. One of the questions from the community was, how do you grow I actually really like this question. How do you grow a category from a hero product and keep people excited? And I guess there's a follow-up question to this too. So let's start with that and then we'll go into the follow-up question.
So I think coming out of the gate with, like, if you were to ask the question, is Truff going to be selling truffle spicy mayo 3 years after launch? I probably would say no.
Yeah.
But I think once you immerse yourself in a category and you start to hear the feedback and the excitement from your customers after the first offering, right? Your mind starts to wander and you start to think of new innovations and new ways you can continue to create that excitement over and over again. And in doing that, we're also looking at the data in retail. You know, what are categories that are high velocity? Yeah. What are categories that resonate most with consumer? Especially over the last 6 months, you saw that, or you might not have seen, we've launched our pasta sauce line as well as our mayo line. And after creating this experience the first time with the hot sauce, we just essentially duplicated what we did for the hot sauce into these new categories. And when we're launching the product, we're very disciplined in the sense we don't tell any of our customers that we're coming out with new products. We're usually in R&D for about a year to 2 years before the first teaser goes out on social media, which is just 7 days before launch. So we really come out of nowhere. Yeah. But I think our approach to discipline and really not letting the cat out of the bag helps create that hype and excitement to our customers that have been wonderful.
Yeah, that's cool. That's super cool. So to follow up on this, we actually have a visual of one of your best performing product launch campaigns to show and talk about. You guys had over a 55% open rate for this guy right here and a 40% click-through rate. That's pretty awesome. Like, this was a really, really big campaign from you guys in Klaviyo. And I want to talk about like the vision behind it and why you think it works so well and who it went to. Did it just like go to all of your audience? Did it go to your VIPs first? Like, let's get into it.
Yeah. So basically the strategy for this was we built a VIP list beforehand. And basically what we were doing was anyone who signs up for this list got early access to the product. Mm-hmm. Everyone else knew about it. So we gave them access, I think 3 hours before this first one. So we sent the email out, they went to our VIPs, they got access. And then later in the day, we sent out an email to everyone letting them know that Truff was available for order. So we just tried to like give people a unique experience. The VIPs always are treated a little differently when it comes to every product launch in terms of what emails they're receiving, the cadence they're receiving them in, and then when they get to find out about the product as well.
That's awesome. And how often do you guys, if you can share this, how often do you guys launch like new products? I know, Nick, you were saying like it takes 2 years almost, but like, do you have like that long of a roadmap? Like, how do you think about like planning that out?
It's, I think, a lot of just work behind the scenes. We launch things when they're ready. We don't launch things when a deadline that we set comes up.
Right.
Like, for example, the first run of Truff, the original black truffle version, we threw the whole batch away because the consistency wasn't exactly how we wanted. And I think for us, like, there's the idea of the minimum viable product, but when you're really trying to bring momentum out of the gate, especially into these new categories, you want to make sure the product is ready for the world to see, and it's everything the customer would hope of your brand. So for us, it's just whenever it's ready for the world to see is when we'll launch it.
Cool. It doesn't seem like so much pressure that you have a deadline to something. You do it when it's ready and you're okay with that. And you know it's going to be amazing when you put it out.
Correct. And that's one of the nice things with being like a direct to consumer brand is a lot of times retailers will kind of put a date on something and say, you need to have this by this, or, you know, we're not going to give you the shelf space, etc.
That's a really, really good point. Like, you own your product, you own when you're putting it out, you own it. Owning it. All right. Okay. So let's go into talking about how often do you guys clean your lists and what type of segments have you set up that proven to be the most successful for your brand? So that's kind of like a two-part question. When I do questions, I like pack it all in to one question. I want to know. So let's start with list cleaning, how important that is for a brand, and then we'll move into segments. I know a particular question in the chat was, how do you determine who your VIP customers are? Are they by engagement, tier spending? You know, how does that all work?
Cool. Yeah. So when it comes to like emailing people, we're always emailing our engaged subscribers and our engaged prospects. That's how we keep the list clean in one sense. So all of our campaign emails, what we like to do is you segment them by customers and you segment them by prospects. And we send out those campaigns to, usually it's somewhere between engagers, usually somewhere between 60 days to 120 days. I'd say like the most even is like people within the last 90 days who have opened or clicked on an email. And we like to split out those segments, because if you ever export data from Klaviyo, you can then use filters to see over time how well like your customers are converting through email, how well prospects are converting through email. So you're really able to get a more granular look just by splitting out the list, and using some clean nomenclature within your account will allow you to extract more out of it. We try to clean the list on a quarterly basis, just to keep everything fresh, but we're always making sure that we're hitting those engaged subscribers to maintain really high open rates, and click-through rates. And then as far as the different flows that we have set up, I think flows are always something that's evolving. You're adding more, you're adding less, you're seeing like what's working and what's not. A flow I think that I could talk about, which is a little different and I haven't heard anyone talk about too much before, is like payback flow is like what we call it. So a lot of times in the food and beverage space, and it's essentially a cross-sell flow. A lot of times in food and beverage space, like a lot of people on their ads are breaking even. They're either making a little money or just breaking even. Okay. And so they're looking to make that money back as quickly as possible to take a customer who's not profitable and turn them into a profitable customer. Well, the best way to do that is through message marketing. And so what we did was we're analyzing our data and saying how often when is someone going to come back and make a second purchase? And looking at Truff and also looking at the portfolio of brands that we work with, it often happens within 30 days. So we kind of invented a payback flow is what we like to call it, which just then 10 days after someone purchases, try to quickly sell them on another product. And that's something that's worked really well across brands. So it's a cross-sell email. It just hits them really quick.
I really like that. So in Klaviyo, the segment is anybody that purchased in the last 10 days will then go into this payback flow. Are you also using Klaviyo's predictive analytics to be able to like give you some sort of insight on the data of when customers are more likely to buy?
So we've messed around with it, but to be perfectly honest, it hasn't something we've dove into yet. We have other data sources we're using for data analysis on like maybe when to send that first email after purchase. And so that's pretty much like what we'll use and then make the flows from there.
Got it. Okay. Well, we're going to make sure that you guys and everybody that's listening in today is going to start using predictive analytics. I know that that is a really cool feature of Klaviyo that's a little underrated, but we're going to make sure to get some education and stuff out on that. Okay. So so that's one segment. What about the VIP segment? How are you guys determining who your VIPs are?
Yeah, I think with VIP, so there's two ways that in Truff, we kind of have two definitions of VIPs. So one is around product drops. And in a product drop VIP is anyone who signs up on our VIP landing page. They're just becoming a VIP to get access to these products early. So that's one group of VIPs. The second group of VIPs is people who make a certain amount of purchases. There's a few ways you can do VIPs, right? People who spend X amount, people who buy X number of times. I think you have to experiment with what works best for your brand. And I also think it depends on the type of brand, but we'll do VIPs who have purchased over X amount based upon like the data that we have, or placed X number of orders, I should say.
Right. That makes sense. And then I'd say like, what's one other segment that works really well for you guys in Klaviyo that you could recommend to others to try?
So if a segment that could be really interesting to try to send manual email campaigns to is just like people who are active on the website in the last 30 days. That's a good one. So you can make a segment inside of Klaviyo if it's like hooked up with Shopify or something by like active subscribers. These are people who are just on your website in the last 30 days, but haven't purchased. You could hit them with an email as well. And that's a good one.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for giving those segmentation tips. So the last question in Klaviyo, obviously Klaviyo, you can do A/B testing, which is really cool. You can do it in flows, campaigns, and now you can do it on forms. So let's talk about A/B testing. Blake, I know you and I kind of dove into A/B testing a little bit on our initial call, but can you give us some examples of the way you guys are A/B testing and maybe some advice on what specifically brands should be focusing on when they're testing? I know there's a lot of like mixed opinions about what to A/B test, right? And what's going to be effective.
Yeah. So I think there's two ways to talk about A/B testing. You have A/B testing within your flows, and then you have A/B testing within your campaigns. And when it comes to setting up an A/B test, I think the biggest thing here is you want to have some clear goals about what you're testing for. Now, what we're typically looking at is on the flow side, you want to test open rates. I feel like is one of the biggest things you can test for. And one of the biggest factors in an open rate is the subject line. So setting up subject line split tests in all of your flows is a great way to test for incrementality, because you can really, if you're slowly making incremental gains on your open rates in your flows, you're going to be able to push that open rate higher. It's going to generate more clicks to your website and more revenue. So that's a process you can slowly build over time. And when you're split testing, you can get the quickest wins out of your most open emails. Usually it's the first email in your welcome series, your abandoned cart, your post purchase. So those are ones where like you'll get results faster from your split test because you're getting more volume there, right? And then on the campaign side, really what I like to test most, and Klaviyo has a great tool, is just making sure, one, you find the days that work best for your brand to send emails. a lot of people make assumptions like, oh yeah, we do best on Sundays, we do best on Tuesdays. And it's like, you look at the account, it's like, yeah, there's really no data to support that. You have to consistently set up tests and then run split tests on like, hey, you're sending every Tuesday versus every Wednesday at this time. And then once you have days that work well for you, then start experimenting with split testing times. And Klaviyo has a great feature that allows you to do that and take advantage of it. And what I found with most of the brands that we work with is like, it usually skews towards night. And I think that scares people, but if you like, the thing is peak shopping times in the United States is around 8:30. It's 8:30 Eastern. Yeah. So it makes sense that when your emails are most open is at night, like people are shopping, they're in their couch, on their bed, like hit them with an email. That makes sense. And if that's later in the night, that's okay. You know, people are busy at 11 a.m. when a lot of people also like to send out emails. So right. I would say you can trust Klaviyo's like smart sending time, optimal send time, like it works. And so I would say trust that, because your systems are much more sophisticated than what you think you're doing.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I love the smart send time feature, and I think it's really, really helpful for businesses. And watch, after this, like everyone's going to be sending nighttime emails now after this episode because you just told them to. So we're going to be getting more emails at nighttime. Thanks a lot, Blake. No, that's awesome. Okay, well, we have a couple more minutes left. I have one more question left, and then I want to like get into these chicken wings, and then we've got to do the trivia question, and then we're going to wrap it up. So last question for you guys. This comes from the community. From what you've learned so far on your growth journey, what's the one thing you would change?
I think for us, or for me as a founder, I guess you would say, it's trying to find people that are really good at the things you're terrible at earlier. And, you know, a lot of times we're so busy with our heads down, we haven't made that first hire yet, but that first hire is really going to help free up a lot of the time where you're working in the business and not on the business. And when you're working on the business, you could scale a lot faster, and you could see things from a different perspective that you can't really see when you're working in the business.
Yeah. That is such a good point. Blake, what about you? Well, I guess like you're co-founder of Advisory Marketing. So from an agency side of things, what's one thing, you know, you would change over the last couple of years?
I would say the biggest thing is just making sure you have systems in place and sticking to the systems and just recording things as you go. I think systems are huge for any business, and there's always something that can be improved to increase efficiency. So you want to go there. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, you guys, for taking the time to come on the show and talk about all of this great stuff that you guys are doing with Truff. Super pumped to see what's next for you guys. Okay, so we have like 5 minutes left. I know this video is like 6 minutes, so if you're willing to hang in there for an extra minute or so, we want to play the video real quick, and then we're going to do the giveaway. So Kelsey, let's hit it. Let's make some chicken wings.
Drums are wings. In fact, they're the better version of wings. I've always tried to make myself very clear on where I land in this matter. There's been an eternal struggle. Some people just believe that wings or flats, you know, those smaller chicken pieces with a lot more bones in them, are the only thing that can truly be considered wings. Others acknowledge that drums are also a form of wing and battle between whether or not flats or drums are better. But for me, it's a no-brainer. You can get that beautiful crispy exterior and a nice juicy interior all in one. And today, I'm gonna make my favorite application of chicken wings, buffalo. Traditional buffalo wings are from Buffalo, New York originally, but I've made a few twists that I think give them a better creaminess and crispiness than your typical buffalo wing. So let's go. To start, let's add in our chicken drums. Like I said, just take a look at this. For starters, you got a nice layer of skin right there that can be really nicely crisped up if you do this correctly. Then just look at how much meat there is. It's a beautiful bulbous shape that puts it in the perfect position to stay very moist on the interior while still allowing your fryer time to get that amazing crispy exterior. To brine them, I first first put a couple cups of buttermilk, which obviously has that acidity that breaks down the protein in your chicken wing and gets them nice and tender. That's why you always hear buttermilk fried chicken. The other thing I put in my chicken that a lot of people don't, but that I've taught a lot of people to do lately, is some pickle juice. In addition to the acid in pickle juice, you have tons of flavor. And think about it, fried chicken sandwiches often come with a pickle. Why is that? Because pickle and chicken go really well together. And pickle juice just happens to be an amazing way to marinate your chicken. Now, I know you're probably salivating already, but we're gonna let this rest for about a half an hour. You can rest it longer than that if you want, but I found that this is a pretty good amount of time to impart that flavor and then keep cooking. While this marinates, let's work on our buffalo sauce. To start, you'll need a nice stainless steel pan. You can use a pot if you'd like, but I like a wider pan because things cook faster. We'll start with about 2/3 cup of hot sauce. You can use pretty much any kind here, but I'm gonna be putting truffle salt in here, so I'm going with Truff. I'll then add in an entire stick of butter that's been cut into cubes. A couple of these are modifications that you would not find in a traditional buffalo sauce recipe, but I'm telling you, I've tested with tons of them, and this is the way to go. Next, I'll add about 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. Again, one of my modifications that I love. Next, I'll add 1.5 tablespoons of white vinegar, about 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a little sprinkle of truffle salt, a pinch of cayenne pepper, and just a little bit of garlic powder. Crank up the heat and begin to whisk until this is fully combined. Eventually, you'll end up with a creamy, mouth-watering buffalo sauce. You can continue cooking over medium heat to thicken it up a little bit more if you'd like, but otherwise, you're done. You can remove this from the heat. Tap off all the excess buttermilk. Now, I also like to get my wings really crispy by breading them just a tad bit, which also isn't traditional for buffalo wings. I like to start with about 1.5 cups of potato starch, followed by a few teaspoons of garlic powder, a couple teaspoons truffle salt, a few teaspoons of onion powder, a little chili powder, and just a bit of fresh cracked pepper. Then I'll take my mini whisk and just whisk this up a little bit. Then one at a time, I'll toss my chicken into the potato starch and make sure it gets a nice thick coating. Roll it around to make sure that every last nook and cranny has some seasoning, and then set it aside because you're ready to fry. As I state in a lot of my other videos, I like potato starch over flour. It gets everything far crispier, and it's a trick I learned long ago that I've never turned back on. Flour just doesn't get things crispy enough. So if you want some soggy wings, go ahead and use flour. I like to double fry my wings. So to start, we're gonna fry them at 325 for about 6 to 7 minutes. This phase is where I actually like to start cooking them, whereas my second round of frying will actually get them really crispy. Keep in mind, you should start the oil higher than 325 because the temperature will drop as you add in all the wings. Crank the heat up to 375 Fahrenheit and then we'll fry again. Now we fry till they're golden brown. Let them crackle. These are the crispiest babies you've ever seen. I'll place these chicken wings down to let them rest. My hands are really no longer sensitive to heat, so I can touch things that are really hot without it hurting. Add your chicken wings to a bowl and then pour a nice coat of buffalo all over them. Then it's time to toss these babies around a little bit. Don't be afraid to get messy. That's what cooking's all about. And now I just want you to take one quick look at this chicken wing. First of all, if you're still a non-believer, please try to tell me that this is not a wing. I just don't understand how you can do that. And if you can't agree to that, can you at least agree that this looks ridiculous? And by ridiculous, I mean delicious. Come on, it doesn't get better than this. Just for a quick second, I'd like us all to appreciate this. Now I get it. If you're from Buffalo and you like the traditional wings, sure. But can you really tell me that you don't want to try these right now? Because these are meant to be eaten right away, we need to do the tests. The most important test, in my opinion. Well, one of two, crunchy and juicy. Does this pass the crunch test? It doesn't matter if I'm a biased or unbiased judge. You just heard it with your very own ears. Oftentimes, I have people say, Nick, how can you possibly call food sexy? How can a food be sexy? This is how. Okay, everybody, so we clearly passed the crunch test. But how about that juicy test? Those amazing drippings that you get inside a piece of chicken if you squeeze it, which, you're not really supposed to do. Let's see. Holy. This is absurd. Of all the recipes I made, this lands top 5 easy. No question. The answer is yes. Yes, it's juicy. I'm trying to find a way to describe the flavor of the buffalo sauce on these wings. Normally I dip my wings in the sauce, but this is the sauce. And this is what I've been missing the whole time. Always, I felt that buffalo was just some sort of seasoning on the wing. They always just toss them in hot sauce. And because I'm a bit of a baby with hot sauce, I always have to douse them in blue cheese or ranch, and that becomes my sauce. This is different. And you can control the spice of the sauce yourself. That butter butter and that mayo gives a perfect creaminess, while the vinegar and the hot sauce give that amazing tangy punch that you're always looking for in an order of buffalo wings. I'm telling you right now, make buffalo wings at home. They are so much better than anything you've ever had before, and they're so much different in the best way possible. Thank you for loving the videos. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a big notifications gang now. So many people that are subscribing are turning on notifications, which is really exciting to me. Our channel is growing so fast, so thank you for that, and keep cooking at home. If you ever have any questions, you always know where to find me. Comment below, message me on Instagram, whatever you need. Also, please don't forget to like this video. That's the kind of stuff that's very simple but keeps me going. I gotta go finish these wings. Peace out.
Oh man, you guys, that looks so good.
Drums are wings. In fact,
That's amazing. Great visual. Like, that video was awesome. That's just an example of the content that you guys use too, to put out there and get people to buy hot sauce, I guess.
Yeah, this is actually one of my good friends. His name's Nick DiGiovanni. He is he's actually the youngest master chef in history. So he's been blowing up on TikTok. He does amazing content on IG and YouTube. So be sure to check him out.
So cool. Well, that was awesome. Thanks for sharing that, you guys. Let's get into the trivia question. So Blake, what is our trivia question? And for those who are new to play, whoever types in the answer to the question, the first one and the 20th one, we're giving away 2 prizes today. Okay, so don't feel like you have to have the fastest fingers, but you do gotta kind of move it along a little. So are you ready, everybody? I think they're ready. All right, Blake, what's the question?
All right. Our best product launch email had what open rate percentage?
Okay.
No, these came in pretty fast. Wow.
I believe their open rate percentage was, let me go up to my notes. I think it was 55%. So we're looking for 55. So I'm going to go up. I'm going to keep going up. So Trevor, one of the other event coordinators here on the back end, is finding the 20th winner. I'm going to look at the first one, which is 50, 40, 55. Oh man. And Kit, did I say it right? And Kit Mun.
That's right.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Is that you? You
Yes.
won! Woo! And then who's our 20th winner, Trevor? He might still be counting. Drum roll. I think, hold on, he's sending me a notification. Sorry, guys, this is the first time we're doing that. Gerald Hibbler. Gerald, where are you at? You won a Truff Hot Sauce variety pack.
Hey,
Hey, Gerald. Did I say your name right? Is it Gerald?
it's Jarrell.
Oh my God. You guys, I can never get the names right. Well, congratulations, you guys. We'll be sending you an email after the show to get you your hot sauce variety packs, but just because everybody else didn't win the variety pack does not mean that you're going away empty-handed. We are going to be sending an email after with the recording so that you guys can go back and watch all of the amazing tidbits that Nick and Blake gave you today. We're going to give you a promo code in that email so you can go and buy some hot sauce for yourself and make those delicious wings. And then there's going to be a couple other additional resources in that email for you guys. All right, that's the show today. Thank you so much for joining us, Truff and Advisory Marketing. We are so grateful to have you as customers of Klaviyo, and we are excited to see what happens next with Truff. A huge thank you to everybody that joined us today. This show would not be what it is without the support and the love and the excitement of the community. So thank you so much. Next week, I am incredibly excited to welcome Blue Land to the show. Fun fact about Blue Land, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank actually invested in their company. However, they have a super robust marketing strategy, and we're going to dive into their email marketing tips and more. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we'll see